Hello, hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with our podcast host Keegan. And this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. And today we have the special guest, Stetson Smith.
Hello.
So, Stetson, what's up?
Oh man, I'm doing good. I'm glad to be back. Once again, we've had this is my third time back on the show, and I feel like last time we didn't get to finish up everything, so we're just gonna pick this episode up with something that you asked me that I realized I didn't have time to answer, and then we
Okay.
just keep talking about it and keep kicking the can down this mental health road and
Yes,
see where
sir.
it all comes out.
Sounds good to me, man. So, did you have a place in mind where you wanted to pick up? Because I know we talk about a whole bunch.
I know we
Uh,
do talk about a lot. I'm gonna try to stay a little more focused. That's a guy with ADD. It's easy
oh,
to
it's,
fly off.
I've been told that once you find a rabbit hole, just chase the rabbit, and then knowing
Right.
me, I just find another rabbit hole and I just keep going
That's
for it
fair.
too.
So I said that there was something you asked me we didn't have time to get into before we
Mm-hmm.
ran out of time. So that question you had asked me in the last episode that I was in was, I'm trying to build this sort of beautiful tapestry that is my life, like a
Mm-hmm.
healthy tapestry. Um, or we're constantly building one. And so, what does that look like to me?
Yeah.
Is what you asked me, but I didn't have time to answer it. What I had actually answered was what it kind of didn't look like to me, or what I'm
Mm-hmm.
sort of struggling with this process,
Mm-hmm.
without actually being able to touch on the more positive parts of it. So that's exactly where I want to pick up.
Okay. Coolio. So a beautiful tapestry of life looks different for everyone.
Hmm.
And what's beautiful to someone may not be beautiful to someone else. So what is your beautiful tapestry? What is your idea of it? Or rather, what does it look like right now?
Right. So yeah, so that will be the overall theme. I have actually like a little diagram in front of me. I try to make some scribbles of. Yeah, I felt like that's what you would ask. You'd be like, "What does it look like?" And be like, "Well, what does it
Yeah.
look like?" So I tried to draw it, and it's a weird little graph. Here, maybe I'll show it. Maybe people enjoy seeing my chicken scratch. It all leads to this core part that says overall happiness and stable life. Is what I'm hoping would come out of it.
Nice.
Um, so before answering your question, I'm going to kick off with this poem. I like to open up with a poem. I felt
Go
like
for
I've
it.
wanted to in the past. I don't know if I did in the last episode, but I've
I don't
wanted to do a poem.
I don't think you did, but it's been a while. So
I had one in mind, but then I was like, why don't I maybe look for one that's a little closer to the theme, what we're talking about? So if we have time, maybe we'll do two. But I found
okay.
one that I like that's on theme because there's lots of artistic writings about a tapestry of life.
Mm-hmm.
The most common one is a little evangelical, so I found something else. So it says, Tapestry of Life. If you could see the tapestry of life on which all our lives are woven, then you'd feel the purpose to which we've all been chosen. As our lives surge forward like waves on an endless ocean, there's so much we can do to fill our world with devotion. The value and effect of all that we do transforms our planet and environment too. The pain, the sadness, the joy, and the growing all enrich our lives with seeds of all knowing. The wisdom that burns within heals us like a song, like the rays of the sun as it warms a cold, empty dawn. So if we treasure each moment like it was our last, we're treasuring our lives, future, present, and past. When we see that glory lies in each moment, we'll be drawn, like dandelion seeds carried by a mystic wind, to a new golden dawn. By
Oh,
Night Flyer.
I like that.
Right, that was nice. I did like that quite a lot. So, Tapestry of Life. So you said yeah. So it's unique for everybody. It's sort of supposed to be as tailored to a person as literally like clothes make tailored
Mm-hmm.
to an individual. So of course that makes it unique to everybody. It makes the pattern or whatever that does look like is unique to the story of the person, and that's sort of the point of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it would be conforming if everybody was wearing the same tapestry or flying under all the same banner, right?
Yeah.
So I made my little diagram to answer your question finally about
Uh-huh.
what does it look like to me. And just reading off the wall here. So starting off, it's we've got like performing art and writing and public speaking kind of playing into it. Living in a supporting area, helping people get discovered, helping friends, videography, my edits, public events, networking, and all this and that. That's kind of generally what I put down. That's for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's Stetson's thing, um, as well. So starting off with like performing arts, writing, public speaking, something I've really been trying to lean into heavily this year is that essentially is
Mm-hmm.
leaning into what I knew already to be one of my strongest talents, which is performing.
Yeah.
Um, as well, I've had a lot of people tell me that my writing is very good, which I wish we had time for me to just share my writings, but that would be a whole episode. Um, and then there's public speaking. So I actually have always enjoyed doing speeches, and I didn't do it in high school as much because of where I was at in my life
Mm-hmm.
mentally, just sort of my story at that point. But by the time I hit college, I just flew into it. It was me. As a matter of fact, my speech professor was like, "You could have tested out of this. Like, you kind of wasted your and mine time a little bit." Like, uh, so I've loved that. I really want to MC events, and I love like this is gonna sound funny. You know what? Celebrities I really kind of like aspire is the people who like host talk shows like SNL or not
Oh
SNL,
yeah.
but the Tonight Show
Mm-hmm. Or
or
last week, Deep
like
Tonight.
Jon Stewart. And love Jon Stewart, and the King is back, baby. And who else?
John Oliver is one of mine.
John Oliver. There, I'm blanking on the names, but literally the guys who did like any late night talk show
Mm-hmm.
before the '70s or after the '70s and stuff like that. More of our
Mm-hmm.
modern age guys. But and then Nick Cannon,
Oh yeah.
because I don't know about these people personally. I just like the fact that they like their job is just kind of being the celebrity that introduces other celebrities, sort of like the
Mm-hmm.
host, the
Yeah.
sort of like ringleader. He's
Mm-hmm.
actually not the most talented guy, but he is actually the most like he's just got a lot of like panache essentially. So I really like that idea. However, Amarillo has a lot of limited
Mm-hmm.
opportunity for all of these things.
Oh yeah.
Incredibly limited. And so I've spent time outside of Amarillo, and it's kind of weird because it feels like any market out there that you could think of that has a lot of opportunities for stuff like that is a really expensive place to live.
Mm-hmm.
So the nice thing is while I have not really any means to go anywhere else, is to try to make that within my community here. But that also co-plays within the community's participation,
Mm-hmm.
to allow that to be here, to not discredit that.
Yeah.
So that's been a journey as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those talk show hosts, they've got a lot of charisma. Like whenever they were rolling up their character sheet, it seems like they just threw a whole bunch of stats into
And to
charisma.
charisma, I think
Mm-hmm.
anybody almost in that industry almost has to be.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few who get away with not being that way, and it's a little surprising.
Yep.
Um, some of them really stand out. Like Bo Burnham to me is someone
Mm-hmm.
who he doesn't seem like he has the most charismatic personality, but his artwork is just like genius level
Mm-hmm.
stuff to me. I've been in this. So here's a little like Stetson story. So when I was 13, 14, I had managers, talent managers in LA,
Huh.
and I was in Los Angeles for a while. Basically, I got ran into this company. I don't know if I talked about this before.
I don't think so.
Okay, so it's a story I actually didn't talk about for a very long time until I started opening up about it in my 20s with people. And I had some people who were my oldest friends that were like, "What?" um, and so basically, I went to LA because this company, and you might be able to Google them. I don't know if they're still around. It's called iPop. And this company came through Amarillo, Texas, and other places all over the nation in the years of whenever I was 14. So I'd have to do the math real quick. But essentially, they came through towns such as Amarillo,
Uh-huh.
and advertisements were made on the public radio, which is where I remember hearing it the most. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, it was like this is what was on TV at the time. Basically, it advertised. It was like, "Do your kids love Hannah Montana and Wizards of Waverly Place? Well, we're scouting through your city to look for the next top Disney talent. Blah 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 blah. You can get in front of real LA managers, blah, 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 blah." And
Mm-hmm.
I've been talking to my dad about how I really want to be an actor. And he was starting to listen at this point. And then this
Mm-hmm.
thing had started advertising. People were talking about it around town. They were like, what? Um, and so basically, for free, you did get to go do like this 3-day program and audition in front of a manager and some
Mm-hmm.
scouts for the program.
Yeah.
And with a lot of money, you could go out to LA and then go through what is a week program
Mm-hmm.
of basically talent scouting from random kids they found throughout the nation. This was
Uh-huh.
essentially the industry, the Hollywood industry's move to grab people who were outside the LA bubble that
Mm-hmm.
had talent that didn't have the access. And this was like, fuck, Facebook was fairly new. My dad still had like a flip phone. Like I remember iPhones were becoming mainstream, but my
Yep.
parents hadn't joined the iPhone bandwagon. So let's paint some of the technological picture time of like back when that was.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was 20. It was before 2012. It had to have been around 2009, 2010. As I'm gonna swing it. So essentially, I got out there and I killed it.
Uh-huh.
I destroyed it. Is the only thing I ever earned a trophy for. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go grab him. Now I'm telling the story. I'll be right back. Hang on, it will not take that long.
Well, as we wait.
Hang on, look, it really So I'm right back. Oh, I grabbed the one without the freaking. The
Oh,
plaque fell off.
nice.
I grabbed the one without the plaque on it, so I could show y'all. There he goes. iPop.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's the only thing I've ever earned a trophy for in my life is acting and modeling. Surprising.
Oh yeah. And I did actually look them up, and they are still around.
No way.
Yeah, sure are.
Yeah.
So maybe you can reach out and be like, "Hey, y'all remember me?"
If the vice president of the company is still the vice president, she might.
Oh yeah.
I made really good friends with her somehow.
Nice.
Uh,
You got
it
that
was
high
fun.
charisma.
Yeah, so that's what my dad taught me. So my dad was like, "Here's the name of the game. Really, more than acting, is like networking with managers, with other artists." And of course, there's there's a lot of like shark mentality where it's like
Yeah.
I succeed over you. But the best of them weren't like that, and that's still true to this day in any pursuit. But I went around some kids who had basically been born in entertainment, were like born into doing this stuff like for a long time, and I had about 6 months of grindstone training from my dad and from local acting coaches here in Amarillo. And I like came home with this stuff against thousands of kids from all over the nation. As a matter of fact, the age category they put me in was bigger than any other one.
Oh wow.
They had to put me in an age category smaller than mine. What was it? I think it was because I was 14. They threw me in with like the high schoolers. They threw me in with the teenagers. All of a sudden, I look younger than I am. I have always looked younger than I am. I've always been smaller and lack of facial hair. So at 14, I looked
Like a
10,
middle schooler.
like 10. Like I looked 10 about middle school, but I was actually a junior high. This gave Hollywood agents like dollar signs on their face. Like basically they like rolled and rolled and rolled and landed on jackpot when they landed on me because I was able to articulate and express emotions older than the roles that I looked I could play, which is like huge to them. and I
Yeah.
can express them really well because I grew up in a really emotionally dysfunctional household. And come to find out, I read some books by other actors, and it's kind of a common trait between us. We learn
Oh,
to act
really?
by a really read I'm Glad My Mom Died by the
Ooh.
girl who played Sam in iCarly. I've been listening to an
Oh,
audiobook version of that. She basically said that
I've
she learned to act so what's the word I'm looking for? Eccentric, essentially,
mhm.
wild and crazy when the role needed it because of her mom's behavior at home.
Mm, wow. Yeah, I actually heard a little bit about that book, and at first I was like, "Man, that title is like a little harsh." And then I read the synopsis of it, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
I
Because
saw that title of that book, and I was like, I'm in. I was like, I'm immediately sold. As someone who hated his grandma on my mom's side, I was like, I get it.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely some people out there, but I mean, a lot of people at the same time would. That's also just one of those things too. Is just getting that shock factor. Just if you can get that a little bit of attention being paid your way or towards whatever you're trying to push, that's how you're going to get it noticed and get it either sold or get it on stage.
Oh my god, that reminds me. This is a little sidebar conversation. So I went to Barnes and Noble. I had a fun little thing where it's like, how many books could I find that have the F word in it?
Mm.
And it's so funny. There was so many. One of them was like how to stop giving an F. One of them's everything's effed. One of them was buy yourself the effing lilies. And the last one that I just saw the other day at a friend's house or my girlfriend's parents' house was how to un-F your life. And I was
Ah,
like, dude, you really got to like put in some F words onto that book titles, get them off the shelf.
yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of like the way the society's going, like at some point we've kind of sat there and been like, look, we need to express properly. We can't be censored in some areas anymore, because back in the day, if you try to put the F word on book covers, it would be like shot down. Like, nope,
Hmm.
not happening. But
Hmm.
so many people spoke out about different things that it's like, well, we might as well just go ahead and throw the F word out on a book cover.
I
So,
guess. Anyways, yeah, anything that gets the publishing moving
mm-hmm,
keeps books from falling into relevancy. But anyways, that's just a funny sidebar. So this kind of bring it back into what we're talking about. So I discovered at an early age, and it was kind of enforced really early on, that I had skills in performing. Literally to the point that the first time I ever had done an acting course, which
mm-hmm,
was in middle school or junior high,
mm-hmm,
something like that. It was like really early on. It had to have been middle school because junior high I was in LA almost.
mm-hmm,
And so they were talking to my dad and they were like, Stetson's different than the other kids. You need to actually put him in a real program. That's
mm-hmm,
not some sort of curriculum that these kids are doing.
mm-hmm.
Um, and he didn't really listen until like I started really bending his ear for a long time. I wanted to do this, so he did. We did iPop and all this and that. It was a crazy story.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, I shook up LA. It was really interesting. I had an agent and manager. I had these connections that I had made through the networking with my father. My uncle, who travels quite often, had run into someone who knew us from iPop on a plane in Dallas, and he was like, "People in Dallas are asking about Stetson, and he's never been to Dallas."
Huh.
Peyton said that he went to a manager's kind of like a social party. I think it was like his kid's birthday, but he was using it as a networking party.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, he was like, Stetson was talked about for a while, and even the host of the party had grabbed me and was like, "Who is this random guy, and why am I hearing about him?"
Mm-hmm.
And so, even my uncle to this day said, "You had great potential. Like you really could have had a great breakthrough had it not got messed up for you."
Mm.
So that's that story. So, but that's a whole thing. So I came home
Mm-hmm.
and I was homeschooled for a little while, but then um, I kind of wanted to go back to school. I missed my friends that I had been through the system with. I sort of wanted to go back to being normal. I think I just lived in a really stressful household,
Yeah.
and being homeschooled on top of that was just not flying by me. So I wanted to get into a better environment, essentially,
Mhm.
or just get around friends, just around peers my age. Funny enough, Hannah Montana was still a pretty big show at this time, and it was just straight up like I kind of was truly feeling it with the whole like, do I want to pursue celebrity or do I want to be Miley and just go to high school?
Yeah.
But so yeah, I just went back to school and funny enough, the theater program, as soon as I got in there, the theater department was all like, join our state, essentially join our competitive theater
Mhm.
program or whatever. I think I failed in English with like a really rough English teacher. I failed it by 2 points
Oh man.
and or got a D or something, and I couldn't go to state. But it's all right because that theater group was like really toxic and really bad, and it was funny because I just come out of this whole LA story, and then it was to the point where like they thought I was a liar for even telling them about it, and
Mhm.
they got pissed off about the sort of like how I literally had spent like the last year in LA
Mhm.
and working with like high production managers, and now I'm in a high school production and I'm a little above this, like not, I don't know, I might have had a bit of this is, I'm just here because I'm good at it kind of an attitude, and other people
Mhm.
who really work on it forever
Yeah.
kind of a thing. But yeah, that sort of cut me off of acting for a
Mhm.
long time. I was like, I am done, dude. I'm gonna let the drama be for the arts and I'm gonna go do something else,
Yeah.
essentially. So I thought, there's lots of things out there. There's like sales and marketing and things like that. So I thought that that's where I could go with those talents, is to be some sort of like salesman marketer.
Mhm.
Because obviously the networking was something I was really good at.
Yeah.
So that's kind of on here as well. So as well, like videography and editing and stuff like that. I think that just comes because I've been working with entertainment my whole life.
Mhm.
Because my uncle's a lighting designer, so he's been doing theater and lighting events his whole life. He's worked
Mhm.
with Disney,
Oh wow.
which is why we had an LA connection out there a little bit. He hadn't
Mhm.
worked in Hollywood, but he worked with Disneyland, like doing their lighting designs and stuff like
Oh
that.
wow.
Yeah, and and then just everything that came with that, so cameras and camera work and all this and that. So I figured it was like, well, if I'm not going to be an actor, maybe I'll try videography or things like that for people who have other talents like
Mhm.
skateboarding or art, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's actually something I still really want to do. I love helping my friends advertise their talents, especially if they're
Mhm.
more introverted people, and I'm like, yeah, let me come fill that in for you.
Yeah.
Let me get you out there, essentially.
Yeah.
um,
I'd seen that you actually did a music video for someone in Amarillo, right?
Yes, Braden Reeves. He goes by Erratic Soul. It was my first music video, so I didn't charge him or anything. I was just like, I just need the experience.
Mhm.
Um, it went really well. I was happy with it, except we had one technical issue with the reason. Like we would export it, and for some reason the lip syncing was perfect
Mhm.
on my end, but whenever it got exported, it desynced it somehow. I
Oh man.
realized what happened. I was able to fix it, but Braden had already uploaded it to YouTube by the time I had
Ah.
learned to solve it,
Uh-huh.
and it had like 30 something views. And he was like, I'm good with it the way it is, I guess." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, I don't know why that happened, but I eventually figured it out. But yeah, no, I'm pleased with it. I would love to do more. I want to do more. Sometimes I think like I'm so vivid when I listen to music. My imagination's not super strong, but when I
Mhm.
listen to music for some reason, my like mind's eye will like project a really well written music video
Mhm.
a lot. And I'm like, I gotta start making music videos just for fun,
Yeah.
just like people's cover songs, and just making my own. Like, this is my own attempt to make a music video of the song I liked. I've thought about that, but I
Yeah.
have so many projects I'm working on. I don't know when I would make time for anything like that. High Plains Media has been going solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit. To talk about that, so
Okay.
that's a part of the videography, a sort of helping friends and helping people get discovered. That's all part of my
Mhm.
tapestry. I
Yeah.
just read them off. So High Plains Media sort of does that. High Plains Media, I do my videography and my edits.
Mhm.
Um, I help my friends who are vendors
Mhm.
get discovered. I help kind of create content when they're at the events, and I sort of show what they have.
Mhm.
Um, and as well helping people get discovered. So if there's an event that people have been thinking about checking out or they missed it this year, they can always go check it out through my High Plains Media. Or if there's a story that you're hearing about around town that's more of the news serious angle,
Mm-hmm.
I cover things more in depth than the news TV will, and I've actually had a lot of people thank me for that.
Yeah.
So it's helping. One of my mission goals with High Plains Media is helping the underserved and underprivileged get their stories and their voices out.
Oh
So
yeah.
basically, helping with other people's discovery as well.
And
Something I guess I just don't like. I don't like feeling boxed in or sort of like hidden from the world.
mm-hmm.
And a part of me is just like everybody feels that way, right? And so, which some people prefer it, which is like fine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have much business together.
Yeah. Right. Uh,
But
but that's really awesome though that High Plains Media and you are doing that because having been from Amarillo, I know what it's like that you know something that happened and you're like that should be on the news or like it is on the news but it's like oh yeah this happened and then that's it. That's the entire
mhm,
news coverage is like
mhm.
oh yeah it happened. Like
The
okay
news
well
coverage, yeah, the news coverage. I could actually break it down to you very simple. It'll be like this happened today. B-roll, an interview. The interview is exactly 15 seconds, around exactly 15 seconds
mm-hmm.
of one thing that was said. The real interview is actually about 2 minutes long. Nobody sees that, and then they pop off additional information that was researched or given
Mm-hmm.
with B-roll, and then that's it. And it's about a minute,
Yep.
15 seconds at most of local events, and so to tell the truth or to say much of
Mm-hmm.
anything is hard. And I actually had at the last event I covered, I had an old coworker from a local news station come up to me and be like, "No, your format's really cool because you actually are allowing people to tell their stories and to
Mm-hmm.
tell the truth."
Yeah.
And so I worked my first city council video, which I
Yeah.
sent to you about the sanctuary city stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa! And if y'all should check that one out if you live in Texas, that's a big deal.
Yep.
And that blew my channel up. And without any paid advertising, I've had 300% organic growth.
Wow.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
last month. That slowed down a little bit because I've been so busy this week. My
Mm-hmm.
next video is delayed, which was supposed to be uploaded like yesterday or today. But I just could not get around to recording it in this room behind me.
Nah.
Recording day kills me.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, that ties into another thing I have on here: public events.
Okay.
If you are someone who is wanting to build your tapestry of life or whatever, or just needing some help, a lot of mental health people are always like connect, make connections, this and that. If you feel
Mm-hmm.
like that's lacking, public events are the best place, I think,
Yeah.
to network, to shake hands, meet local people, meet organizers, go to events that interest you. You will meet people who also go to events that interest you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's critical. It's actually a foundation to my well-being. I've realized I have to go like I don't have to go to all of them. I'm better about that, but I have to be at public events, and
Mm-hmm.
getting to know these people has really helped me out a lot because now I know what's going on in my community. I know who's organizing it, and I know mostly what it stands for and what, going in support of that. And then, if you feel like you're a maverick in your community or like you're sort of a sore thumb, of course, as I've spoken in the past, that's a feeling that we can run into not being Christian white nationalists in Amarillo. Essentially, it's great to have any kind of place where the alternative can meet up, and these public events that I cover allow people to know about them and to
Mm-hmm.
see them as well. Another value is a real story I'm going to drop on you. Another value I've learned from my videos was when I was with Amarillo College. I was their videographer
Mm-hmm.
for what's called the Ranger, which is the
Yep.
student media
Uh-huh.
press. So Amarillo College has like a student news team. For those who aren't listening, basically the school news team. The school news team productions, newspaper, online, magazine, whatever their videos is called the Ranger. So I was the Rangers videographer at Amarillo College. Uh, I created my own show. They had some shows that were made in the past that may still be up and running, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna do me. And so I created my own show. I called it Student Life Live, and it was about events that had student life organized, and I went and covered it just like I would nowadays, and basically did man on street style. I loved man on street stuff. I think Billy on the Street was out at the time. And I love the idea of just running up to people and being like, "What are you doing? You having fun? What's your name? Like, what are you looking forward to? You know, stuff like that." I feel like I did the best I could. The issues I had with it were people don't know how to work cameras, and they get shy and they get clammy, and I think I just hadn't quite realized I wasn't in LA anymore. And you know what I mean? So not everybody's just desperate for this camera time. Some people are really, really shy and introverted. But nonetheless, I fell in love with it. I loved doing it for Amarillo College. I would do it again if they'd pay me.
Oh yeah.
And and so uh and so but anyways, I even had the vice president of student affairs see me and was like, "What you're doing for us is actually a really big service." Oh, and then that's what I wanted to talk about. So someone who I got in my video years ago passed away on a school trip. And I didn't know this guy super personally, but I interviewed him. And I remember everybody was talking about him, and the professors were a little sad about it. And they just had his funeral, and I couldn't help myself. I kind of pulled up this video. I was like, "Is this the guy?" And I showed it to my professors because I was just at the college visiting, and they were all like, "We haven't heard his voice," and one of them started crying, and I was like, "Ooh." But the awkwardness of that moment aside, you know, that family, which I don't know their family. I hope maybe somehow that video made their way to them, but anybody who misses this guy could go back and just go back to that video and listen to his voice again and listen to me do a bad job at trying to be funny in front of him. But at that point, I sort of realized that there is sort of a gift, a service to what I do. You never know, like when you've caught someone's memory, when it's like, "Oh, that was the last time that place was like that," or like we, you know, I don't know, but there was a sense of magic to realizing that anybody who misses the sound of that guy's voice can go find it again, or anybody else that I've recorded who might not be around anymore.
Yeah, it is a gift, that is for sure. Being able to capture moments in time, and I think that's what makes it magical. Though, is that you never know whenever it'll be the last of something. That's why they say you got to live like every day's your last, because it really could be.
And it's not like that video was made just like days before his departure, but it was still cool to be able to revisit it. Rewatching it, it's like, whoa, young Stetson. It's like it's a little wild too to see my growth with those videos, because I made those videos in 2016, which is wild to think that those are getting pretty old now. I think like 8 years old.
Yeah, you didn't have to mention 8 years, man. Like,
I know, that's when I started this.
Oh,
that was wild. So that was back at AC. That was my little story. So that actually kind of transitions us into another one. So living in a supporting area. So this has been sort of a weird clash here in Amarillo, because sometimes I feel that this place does not support me in any way. I feel I burned too many bridges here. I feel like the network is too small. The opportunities that I'm searching are too limited. And there's a little bit too much of everybody's just one handshake away from each other. And that leads to, it's not a small town, but it is a small town mentality.
Oh, yeah.
Hard. Yeah. And it leads to, it's hard to escape a framework that's sort of supported by the environment, by the setting of you are your mistakes,
Yep.
which is not true.
No.
It's hard to move beyond that because people I do fear that there's sort of this word of mouth getting around that I have been through quite a few jobs,
Mm-hmm.
which I have. I'm turning 28 next month, and I've had 34. I'm gonna rough ball it. That's about how many I've had is 34, and so it's quite a bit. And it's actually been an issue I've been trying to look into. But a part of me is wondering, is it because I refuse to conform to what is supported in this area,
Mm-hmm.
sort of by behaviors, traditions, ways of thinking, beliefs? I struggled really hard at my last job, which was U-Haul, because it had like all these anti-union propaganda and stuff like that,
Oh
and
man.
the company was very, very much like we get as much as we can out of giving as little as we can.
Mm.
And I just eventually became to was like, well, let's all kind of silently not unionize, but the other one where
Strike.
we just sort of like collectively decide that minimum effort essentially.
Oh
It
yeah.
wasn't minimum paying federally because no one would work that,
Mm-hmm.
but it did pay $1 federal like minimum wage to me now is 15. It's just set in my head. I don't care what the law is. A
Yep.
target employee, if you guys need to know, a target employee starting wage is $15 an hour. If
Mm-hmm.
you're looking for a job interview and they say that the wage is less than 15 an hour, my favorite question to ask is, can you explain why this position is easier than working a cash register at Target?
Mm.
There is a reason why I have not gotten many callbacks from my interview process. So that's sort of what I'm talking about. Is
Mm-hmm.
I know the market and I know the worth and I know value right now. I
Mm-hmm.
should start recording these interviews because by the time I start really running my mouth, I've had 3 interviews ask me how old I am. So
Oh
I need to
man.
just collect. I need to just start suing everybody and
Right.
making money off of them dropping the effing ball
Mm-hmm.
in these interview process because that's illegal, number
Mm-hmm.
one. But they can tell what they're really asking is, you looked like a high schooler we could manipulate, and we're thinking you're not,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Um, so that one's actually been struggling with whether or not I need to leave. Uh, but of course, that's sort of like they always get you with that one phrase where it's like, no matter where you go, there you are.
Yep.
And is it really that much better somewhere else? Oof. The coin's still in the air. Jury's still out, man.
Yep.
But there are a lot of these things that I have struggled with. So I know what I want interwoven into my tapestry,
Mm-hmm.
but yet because of money alone, I will say this straight up, because of the root cause of financial reasons, I don't know how. I literally have one little line that comes out of this, and it says how to get paid doing it with a big old question mark next to it. And so I am still trying to figure that out with my
Mm-hmm.
particular set of skills and desires. I feel like getting the pay out of it is really asking for a lot. As well as emceeing and public events and stuff too. I feel like you have to sort of have this accreditation under your name in order to do that. And when you're sort of the starving artist, I feel like that is sort of the symbolism of I'm not good enough. I'm not a person yet. I'm not somebody someday yet, essentially,
Mm.
to do public speaking. But honestly, really, I feel like if I was given the chance, I would kill it.
Yeah. But I mean, you got to start somewhere, and I, I mean, I know the feel living in Amarillo. There is like nothing there,
Mm,
and like you said, everyone's a handshake away. Everyone knows everyone, and so once you make the wrong person mad, you're up going up an uphill battle, like
I
for
know.
a while.
And I've ruffled some feathers here, buddy.
Yeah,
I'm a
and
ruffler.
and just because like the jury may be out on whether it's just the environment or not doesn't mean it's not worth a shot. But I think it's and not trying to like do unsolicited advice, but for me, I had to get out of Amarillo, and
That's what a lot of people say. That's what a lot of people say. I'm contacting people One guy was in the DFW area. He ran up to Denver, and he actually listened to an episode. What's up, Andre? Hope you're listening. But he ran up to Denver, and he's happy. He is so happy right now. I've got another homie who's down in Denver, and he's working like tech jobs, and he got laid off, and now he's getting unemployment. I get laid off, fired, whatever. Like, Texas has no unemployment unless you were straight up laid off specifically from a nice company in a full-time position. The unemployment here is awful. And so that's that's something I want to complain about. This is a mental health podcast. During this job financial insecurities that I've been having lately, at the beginning of it all, I was having a really bad resurgence of my suicidal idealizations. I don't know if I really talked to you about it because it was after that episode we made. How could I possibly say that I'm back in it? But I was. And I called the suicide hotline, and I got a little irritated with whoever they transferred me to. I think it was somebody local that they had transferred me to an Amarillo local person to talk to. A clinic that was just sort of like talking to me, and then they were going to see if they can get me in when they open. But essentially she was like, well, try unemployment. And I was like, girl, it was a part-time job and this and that. Like, I'm not going to get that. And she was just like, oh. And I was just like, come on, guys. Like, don't run me down alleyways I know aren't going to work.
Especially not with the
Yeah. Yeah. I know, man. So that's irritating. And then I remember talking to some other people. It was a free clinic I got referred to, and I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm freaking out because I'm jobless and I'm having a lot of financial insecurities. And they're like, we can prepare you for homelessness.
Ouch. No.
Right? That was word for word what they said. They said we can mentally prepare you for homelessness.
That is not what you do in that situation.
Right. So, but this is sort of where I see, a lot of people are calling out to where like therapy is amazing. And if you haven't been, go.
Yep.
And it serves an amazing purpose. But at some point, is it putting a Band-Aid over something that's kind of like stitches and gauze worthy wound level now? Is it, when you can't therapy out of unaffordable housing, unaffordable healthcare. As a matter of fact, you can get out of therapy because of unaffordable healthcare. These things bar us from therapy being as effective as it should be. Or even, crisis hotlines. And this is not to dissuade anybody from using it if you needed to. I still did. But yeah, I won't lie. My recent complaints have been that it still isn't enough. Which we all feel that. But yeah, trust me, if you're someone who knows someone who's dealing with suicide, the best help they can get is the support of local people. Because like there are these networks, but sometimes look into it. Like my girlfriend thought about thinking about putting me back in the pavilion because it was that serious. But then she like looked into it and she realized maybe that won't be the most helpful. Maybe the most helpful thing is to have an emergency plan here at home and to provide support to where I feel comfortable being here at home, kind of a thing. Maybe it could cause more problems. Some people I feel kind of are like, they treat mental health where it's like, if there's a fire, you grab the fire extinguisher, right? Like you do the same thing. Everybody's different. Our tapestries are unique and stuff like that. And so if it's spraying out, the repairs can be unique as well. So that's why everybody in the community, the mental health community, is talking about like emergency plans and stuff like that right now. The big things. So yeah, that's just some stuff we've been dealing with it. I feel like everybody right now is feeling the heat from finances and feeling sort of, oh man, what did I say? I want to say it's okay to be a little sad and to feel some resentment if you're looking at wealth inequality in the world, or especially in America, and it disturbs you. I feel like what's been so soothing through this whole process is like, that's okay. Like that's not a crazy, unprecedented response to be feeling this. That actually the conversation should be a little more open about that. This emotion isn't actually anything to fix. It's actually a response to something else that should be fixed.
Yep.
Which, that comes with controlling of your external environment and all this and that. But I think with community, with the idea of community, if you have a solid support, we get a feeling that we have better control of the external.
Yep.
Because of we're not alone against the world anymore. It's us against the world, which makes you feel a little more like it's got your back instead of you're up against it. And you kind of realize it's not you against the world. It's you against the powers of the world.
Yeah.
So a lot of my writing and performance art lately has been sort of based off anger and resentment and disappointment at the times.
Okay.
So I'm actually putting together another big show. I did a big writing performance show. It was about 20 minutes. It was basically my poetry that I had compiled into a story that had arced, and I'm doing it again. And so I'm working on that, and I might be having a show. If everything goes good and I kick my butt into gear, I will have it ready for a show on July 19th at Idle Art Studio here in Amarillo.
Awesome.
I will be getting out of the 806, but I will also be performing it at the 806. If anybody's curious about checking that out, you can find my Facebook and stuff. I'll be keeping people posted about that. But my girlfriend has said I've created another YouTube channel, which I haven't given any love into it, so I'm not going to say what it is yet. But essentially, it's going to be for my poetry in video format. However, my imagination is so ambitious on this that I'm like, yeah, whenever I have time for that, I'm going to keep working on High Plains Media because it's all time sensitive stuff. And I think I keep purposely putting it on the back burner with productive procrastination because I'm almost afraid of its success.
Yep.
I'm almost afraid because it's really dark material, and I'm almost afraid of people being like, "Oh yeah, you did that one poem where you said you hate the economy and working jobs, and that you wish the execution of CEOs." It's like you're trying to get hired.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean,
I don't know.
You never know. Like I said earlier, like people putting the F-bomb on the front of books.
On books, right? Gets it off the shelf.
Yeah.
I like that, Keegan. I hear where you're going.
Yeah, you got to make your mark. And I mean, if that's your style and that's what you want to be known for, go for it. And that's how you'll make money off of it eventually, right?
Funny enough, I don't know if that's what I want to be known for, but it's just how I feel. And I feel like a lot of other people feel that. And I feel like it's a good way to express it. My girlfriend loves it. My girlfriend loves my art. She's really behind it. I appreciate her support because sometimes I just feel like it's pointless. Sometimes like it's a dying fad. But yeah, maybe when I get the videos out, we'll be talking about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. So the more I'm leaning into these things, even though they're not paying me right now, my girlfriend and I have looked at each other and had the conversation that we are happier now than we ever were with me working any job that she's known me, and probably any job that I had before I knew her. Trust me. We're happier now because now our focus is entirely on what we want it to be. Our house is cleaner and more like together because we don't have to be at work all the time.
Yeah.
She's doing her art more. I'm producing like tons of writing, producing the videos. So we're really happy. The only thing that's just like got us in our heads and scared is money. So it is funny because it does lead to sort of these frameworks, this sort of mentality where it's like, well, if I could just get rid of money, I really wouldn't have a problem at all. And that sort of makes it hard to work. Yeah. It makes it hard to want a job, brother. It makes it hard to, and I'm actually probably about to fuel a bunch of people out there where it's like, nobody wants to work anymore. and you know what? I'll say this, man. I've been super freaking busy almost every day, and I don't even have a job. And I'm always working.
Yeah.
I'm constantly doing something.
Yeah.
And the point is, I think people don't want to work for somebody else anymore. I think people don't want to work for something else other than themselves anymore. That's why the ultimate goal is to become self-employed and escape corporate America.
Yeah.
And it is funny. It is almost, the debate is kind of like, if we all really were left to our own means, could we still produce you know, enough to make an economy or a society run.
Eh,
Maybe, I don't know. And that's extremism too. I think there's just some people who like having a job, who enjoy the being told what to do. They work better off that structure.
mm-hmm.
I don't.
Yeah.
And I think there should be more avenues for people who don't want to go down that factory cookie cutter path
Mm-hmm.
to be able to venture off and become entrepreneurs sooner without having to have some sort of like financial backing of who the hell ever.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of how I see it. Is like to be able to do that, you have to have what is it? The blood of a businessman, essentially. Like someone from your family
Mm-hmm.
already did it, taught it to you, and is now helping you invest into building it or whatever. Because nobody's going straight to the banks for this.
No.
Essentially. Um, which everybody's got their own story of success, but I can't help but notice some of these things. I can't help but notice, if I had played more into the role of how conservative business leaders are here in town, if I would have more successful marketing
Yeah.
already and things like that. But hey, life surprises you, so I'll throw you this one. You'll find it funny. I had Amarillo City Councilman Place 3, Tom Sherlin, follow my High Plains Media and he found me at an event after that because of the Sanctuary City videos.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of people watch those. Even Mark Lee Dixon himself watched those videos.
Oh wow.
And essentially, he was like, "You're the only one telling like what's really going on." He's like, "You were telling the truth. You were writing good material." And to have like a city councilman follow me, I thought that was really cool. And
Nice.
to praise the fact that I'm actually getting people's stories out better than any other media, even though my stories come out like a week later after it happened, which is technically not great by news format. I still give out way more coverage than any local media will.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, like I was talking about before, it was a really big deal, the ruling that was made in that meeting. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, go check out that video. But essentially, the applause after that was a big moment. I remember my jaw fell off my face, man. It was just like conk. And I recorded it, and I hope that sadly enough, that video really didn't do that well. But I hope that for those who were there or one person even stepped out and missed it, that they can go back and watch that and remember it. That sweet moment of victory or disdain, depending on who you were in that room. Although I'm not going to lie, my target audience and my market is not the people who were against that thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved revisiting it. And I also caught the mayor of Amarillo saying kitty cat. the vulva. He said the B word. I had to bleep it out. It was hilarious.
Oh wow.
He said kitty foot.
I didn't know you had to bleep that out.
I don't. I did because High Plains Media, I want to be more of a, and it also hurts your monetization until you become like really big or
That's
whatever. Which I have no monetization at all.
I feel you there.
I've had a lot of good organic growth and stuff, but the requirements for that are pretty tough. And it's funny too, because I feel like I would have been good at this had I started back in 2016 when I was already learning how to do this stuff. Some of my formulas are still very 2016 because that's kind of when I learned about the internet. That's sort of when I was getting on it a lot, figuring out like YouTube, Twitch, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's changed so much. And the bar, the standard of like
high.
what a good production is like, whoa.
Yeah.
For anybody who's really trying to get started, it's super intimidating, and there's gatekeeping with it.
Yep.
I had to basically accept that I will have a humble pie thrown into my face, which there was also an episode I did where a pie was thrown into my face. But essentially that this is gonna suck. It got to the point where I actually deleted a couple of videos because like these suck too hard. But it was like, this is going to look bad. and I've got to be okay with that
Mm-hmm.
until it gets to a point where I don't despise it anymore. Um, and now it's getting to a point where some of my videos I'm getting a little pleased with, and I almost don't want to make another one because I was like, that was perfect.
Yeah.
That was really close to it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always room for improvement and this and that. There's a lot of research that goes into it. And I feel like that's why I'm focusing on High Plains Media before pursuing my creative passions, is because I want to be bad at the thing that has a standard format first before I
Mm-hmm.
get bad at the thing that has no format. It's just
Yep.
creativity,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel like it's almost like scarier being bad at
Yeah.
that. You
Uh,
know?
yeah, I mean, but that's kind of the thing. Like, if I go back and I look at my earlier podcast episodes, or not look at, I listen to them. Oh, it's so
Right.
cringe.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, for
Yeah.
me, I listen to the like beginning ones, and I'm like, ugh. But it,
Yeah.
and I've told people, I was like, I'm going to take them down, and I've had multiple people tell me like, don't take them down. It shows your growth. And so I've left them up. Like, you can still go
Okay.
to Podbean and check them out, and you'll be like, oh yeah, no, ew. And they started off like 10, 15-minute episodes, and here we are doing an hour and going on the radio. So you just can't
And
stop.
TV too, right?
And TV.
Yeah.
So
That's so cool.
you just
Really
can't
cool.
stop. Just keep going, man.
I was like wearing a tank top earlier, and then I was like, I'm gonna be on TV. Hang on, let me go put on an actual shirt. Let me go put on Fallout Guy.
Yeah.
Essentially, the point is that we have choices of weaving in around that, working with that, and still making it beautiful. It's almost like kind of messing up, but it's not a mess up because then you become the art piece if you don't freak out about
Yep.
it. If you keep going and trusting the process.
Hmm.
Um, that's ending it. That's ending it with my little bit of deepness at the end of the episode.
Fair enough. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the poems, and thank you again, Stetson, for being on the show. So, anyone out there, check out High Plains Media. Help support fellow Amarillo Texan and get his stuff off the ground even more, and help him make money doing it. If you want to check out other episodes of Retrieving Sanity, just go to retrievingsanity.com or check us out on YouTube, Facebook. If you need anything from High Plains Media, you have YouTube and Facebook
I have
and
YouTube, Facebook, and an Instagram.
Instagram. There we go. So, Stetson, I think it's been a wonderful episode describing what your beautiful tapestry of life looks like.
Thank you.
And might I say, it is beautiful, and I can't wait until you get more of it woven out. So,
Yeah, yeah, and trust me, as soon as it's done, I'm gonna be like, "Look what I got!" I'm gonna be like, "Let me share it with you." I love sharing it with other people. I love sharing. Just love sharing.
I feel you. And
So,
next time you're on the episode, we'll have even more to talk about. Yes,
so I
sir.
love talking to you, Keegan. It was great being on here. I appreciate anybody who listened. So yeah.
All right, Stetson. Well, you have a good. Well, I mean, everyone listening, it's going to be like morning ish, I think. Anyways, y'all just have a good, wonderful rest of whatever part of the day you're in.
Yeah, good. Have a good time. Have a
Yeah,
good time, y'all.
have a good time.
Have a good one.
See ya. Son.